Doxa Deo Hatfield, God has been miraculously providing, and it's now time for us to faithfully respond. You can see behind me here, God has brought such an incredible blessing to our church, something we did not expect at the beginning of 2021. But the reality is at the moment, on the 11th of April, we are going to move for the very first time in our history as a young church into our very own 24/7 space. So for us to move into this building, for us to get it ready, to shop fit it, to white box it, and also to buy everything we need, all the gear, the sound, the audio, everything we need to do ministry in the space, that whole budget has come down to about 260,000 Rand. And this is the incredible story of provision. That over the last couple of weeks, through various stakeholders, the Doxa Deo family, different people in our sphere, we've seen more than 140,000 Rand of that amount coming to us up front. And the time is now for us as a church to say we are going to take ownership, not just of the vision and the dream that God has for us in this next season, but also the remainder of that amount. Recently, as I was speaking to one of the pastors in the area, and he asked me about this new venue, and I told him where it is, here on the strip in Linwood Drive. He literally said he thinks this is one of the most strategic spaces for a church that he can imagine. Beyond the stitching of where students, the suburbs, Hatfield, the suburban and the urban, all of these spaces cross, and this is part of the calling of Doxa Deo Hatfield, is to bring multi-ethnic, multi-generational and cultural people together. This is a place where we can see the reconciliation of God and man happening. And so I want to say that on the 11th of April, we are going to make this place home for the next season. And I'm trusting that God would stir your heart to come with us. So we've spoken about the word ownership. And for us as a church, as partners of the dream that God has for this city and for this campus, we want to say, how can we, over the next 12 months, own this amount of 120,000 Rand? So the family has already stood in for us. We can spend the money. You can see that we are building and we are gearing ourselves for the 11th of April. But I want to ask us in two ways now to own up and to say, God, we want to take ownership of this whole process together. And how you can do that is two ways. Firstly, is we can do once-off payments, investments into this amount. And as you pay it into the normal Doxa Deo Hatfield account, you can just mark it as project venue. But secondly, you can also take a 12-month debit order. And so I'm going to ask all of us, this is above and beyond our normal giving. This is what Shay and I as a family, we are going to do and say, how can we invest once off and how can we have an amount that we can invest over the next 12 months as we repay the family this amount. And just to give you an idea, if only 50 people in Hatfield were to commit 200 Rand a month, that would be the whole amount of 120,000 Rand. So for us, I want us to pray, I want us to own it, I want us to invest and say, how can we put money that God has blessed us with down in the season? And also, how can we take up maybe a debit order over the next 12 months and see that this church becomes the blessing that God has meant it to be? Doxa Deo Hatfield, we are here for spiritual lostness, social pain, and systemic brokenness. We want to bring faith, love, and hope to this incredibly strategic space of our city, and the time now is for us to faithfully respond.